Here we go. My first videotaped science experiment. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Welcome to the kitchen of Mr. Jacobs. First thing you will need is a 9 by 9 inch piece of cloth. This will be the foundation for your cool hat. Next thing you'll need is water. Doesn't get any simpler than that. And saturate it. Okay. This 9 by 9 inch cloth is completely soaked. The bowl, actually the strainer. Okay. I have now put this over the bowl. What I've done is I have shaped it precisely so it'll fit over the bowl. And now, in order to make my hat cool, I'm going to put it in the freezer. And now, while waiting for it to freeze, ta-dum, ta-dum, ta-dum. Okay, my friends, should we look at our cool hat? It is about 5:51. I'm sorry, 5:49. Why am I keeping track of the time? Because when I take the hat out, I'm going to put it on my head, and we're going to see how long it takes for the hat to start melting. Isn't that cute? Ooh, fashionable, huh? Ooh, that feels good. Mmm. Ooh, perfect for when you've been running around. Well, while we're waiting for this hat to melt, this lovely hat to melt, a good introduction to this activity, if you do it with the kids, is to have the kids like run around outside and work up a sweat, get themselves, all heated up, so that they're ready to do an experiment such as this. Wow, this hat feels good. It's actually quite warm here in the apartment, so this hat is actually quite perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep track of this hat, and when it starts to melt, we'll find out, we'll determine how long it takes for this hat to melt. So it's been about 1 minute since I put the hat on my head, and we'll see what happens. Incidentally, this experiment is really supposed to be done with a cloth that you put under the water, and then you wring it out, you rinse it. It actually wasn't supposed to be, this wet. The thing is, I tried it with a hat that was wrung out. The only problem was when I froze it and put it on my head, it was hard to tell when it was starting to melt because there wasn't very much water in it. So that's why I made sure this particular hat was soaked in water. That way, when this hat starts to melt, I'll know. So, well, you know what? I'm just about starting to feel it. I believe that a drop of water is about to emanate from this hat. Pretty soon now. Pretty soon. Yep. I'm starting to feel it. I'm starting to feel it. Starting to feel it right over here. As a matter of fact, I can feel it getting a little bit wet over here. Yep, see? You can feel it on your head. The hat is limp. It is limp. So that took, about 2.5 minutes. It took 2.5 minutes for this hat to melt. You know what an interesting follow-up would be? Let's say that I chose not to take the frozen hat and put it on my head. Suppose I took the frozen hat and just put it on the counter or the table or wherever in room temperature. Didn't put it on my head. An interesting question would be, would it take just as long for this hat to melt if it were put on the table? So that would be a good hypothesis. the hypothesis would be it will take longer to melt if it's put on the table, or maybe not. What do you think? Should we try it? Why not? Let's try it. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm going to saturate this hat again. And then we'll take the bowl out. Okay. Put it on the bowl. Shape it again. And back in the freezer you go. Stay tuned for part 2 of the experiment. Okay, so it took how long? 2.5 minutes for the hat to melt on my head? Alright. Have you all got your hypotheses ready as far as how long you think it'll take for the hat to melt if I put it over here? I'm actually going to put it on top of my microwave. Now it hasn't been used in the past 24 hours, so the top of it is pretty cool. So, let's see. Here we are. So here is the frozen hat. Looks kind of cool, huh? So, what time do I have? I have about 5:35, give or take. So we'll see how long it takes. So maybe it will melt in the same amount of time it took to melt on my head. Maybe it'll take longer. I guess we'll find out. And this is something that you can do with, with your kids. On the handout, you can actually make several of these using several 9-inch by 9-inch pieces of cloth separated by wax paper and put on an upside down bowl. And like I said, you can get them worked up, get them exercising, get them warm, so as to give them the incentive to want to try something like this, because they're going to be pretty hot. So it has been about 1 minute. 1 minute. It has been 2 minutes now. And here is our hat, still frozen. And I'm looking underneath to see if there are any drops emanating from the hat. Nothing yet. Okay, I'll see you in about 3 minutes. Okay, it is about 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and there is actually a little bit of wetness over here. Let's see if I can get a close-up of that. Maybe you can tell, maybe you can't. Yeah, I think we can tell. There we go, there's the proof. There it is. Water. It is melting. As a matter of fact, if we look over here, we can see that the hat has slumped. It is now slumping. The hat that was once perfectly shaped is now slumping. It's limp. It's tired. And there you have it, my friends. There we go. So, did the hypothesis that you thought of confirm with how this went?